Welcome to episode 7 of the Local Lab podcast, where we dive deep into the community to find the extraordinary within the ordinary. First off, I'd like to thank the official podcast sponsor, which is Appear On Clothing. If you want to go and view their stylish collection of golf clothing, visit www.appearon-clothing.com and use the code LOCAL15 for 15% off your next order. Today, I'd like to bring you Nima, which is NMA Media.
NMA Media, that's right.
Yes. Cheers. Thank you for coming.
No worries.
Basically, Nima's really built himself a really good media company, and I'd like to get more insight into that, as I think in this city we're seeing a lot of media getting pushed. You know, we're seeing various people doing this, especially, you know, Matty. Shout out to Matty behind the camera. He does it as well. Mo Media. So I just want to kind of jump into that and, you know, find out how you got into it. You know, how you've produced such a successful company in that, and also some of the secrets behind it and what some people wouldn't know, what happens behind the scenes, etc.
Yeah.
So we'll jump right into it. So what do we need to know about you? We'll first jump to the first question. I always ask everyone, what was life like growing up for you in Liverpool?
Let's go on a bit of a journey, shall we? So not everyone knows this. I weren't actually born here. I weren't born in England. I weren't born in Liverpool. I was 8 or 7 turning 8 when I came to Liverpool.
Okay.
Didn't speak the language. Didn't speak English at all. Didn't even know how to say hello. Didn't know how to say... I just knew what my name was. I didn't even know how to say my name is.
Yeah.
And I just got thrown into a school. Because of my age, I was meant to go into year 3 as well. But they put me into year 4. So I was already in the wrong year. And yeah, so got thrown into it all English speaking school with no ability to speak the language. And I remember just sat in the classroom like with kids all around me, just like having a chat with each other. And then like the most frustrating part was maths, because it's all numbers. You understand numbers. You don't have to understand the words. You understand the numbers. And I remember I used to be like dead good at maths when I was dead young, and like I'd know the answer, but I couldn't say it.
Yeah.
So it used to really like grind my gears. So I said, I've got to learn this language. I've got no choice. So I went to like the school library, picked out like a dinosaur book.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to read this book every single night and then word for word translate it back to my like mother tongue, my original language, so I can understand each word. So that kind of like started teaching me words. And then for my writing, I like copied the book word for word every single night. After school, I'd get in. I couldn't do any homework. Yeah. So I'd get in and I'd just like copy this book and read this book every single night. And within 2 months, I was fluent. So I can communicate with everyone. I could like go to school, answer questions, and like do a bit of work and talk to me mates, and then started playing footy with them as well. And then be able to communicate on a footy pitch as well. And then from there, just kind of kicked on, and then just carried on, like learning more and more and more. And then within 2 years, I was like a full-blown Scouser. And like, I'd meet people and they'd be like, I couldn't tell you weren't born here or you'd never spoke the language.
What a fucking story that is.
I know. So, like, not everyone knows that.
What a start to a podcast that is. That's unbelievable.
But yeah, so...
Hats off to you, lad.
And then that was it. And then, but still challenging growing up.
Yeah.
Because everything's different for you, for your family. But, like, it's not just on my side. For, like, people that I was meeting, like, kids that I was going to school. Like, again, back then, I'm 26 now, so when I was 7, 8 years old, the population, like, Liverpool weren't as diverse as it is now. Like, you go out, there's whole areas of, like, with different nationalities. It's very diverse. Back then, it weren't as diverse as it is now, so it was still new to the community. And I remember like going to school and there were like kids like not knowing who or what I was and why I looked different to them. Yeah. And they were like, and I faced the typical racism as well, like growing up, like even in year 3 or year 4, you get kids just throwing racist words at you, or like in school physically throwing rocks at me and stones at me. So year 3 and year 4, and you're thinking, now that I look back on it, I'm thinking, like, we were 7, 8-year-old kids back then. And then, yeah, so just kicked on from there and just carried on living the life in Liverpool, really.
Yeah, so just to touch on that, you just said, you know, did you, obviously you said you couldn't communicate because you didn't know the language,
No.
and obviously you got that experience of people throwing stuff at you because you're not different. That's such a not it really gets to me that you've experienced that, and from someone who's from Liverpool, like I apologise for that because that is not acceptable. I think
absolutely.
I think you should, if someone my mum and dad always said, someone's struggling, you need to go and help them. Like to just to hear that, it's really disheartening. Like how did you? Obviously you've dealt with that now, and obviously you're on the other side of that. Like what's that taught you? That experience.
First of all, I will go back and say this: that is the very, 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 very small minority of, like, if anything, of Liverpool. Like it
still not acceptable though, is it?
It's not acceptable, but like it's not a common thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a common stereotype that you'd associate with Liverpool. What has it taught me? Well, it's given me a bit of a thicker skin.
Yeah.
Back then you don't really look back at it. Like back then you don't realise what you're learning in the moment. But when you look back at it from now, like at this point in my life, I'm looking back at it and go, okay, I was kind of in a situation in terms of the language barrier. I was in a situation where I had no choice. I had to make it work. Otherwise, it's not a do or die, but it's a you don't function without the ability to speak the language of a country you're living in. So looking back at it now, it was a case of, okay, I've got a problem. I have no choice. I've got to make it work. So looking back at it now and looking through my life in terms of like anything I've been through, that's kind of the perception it's given me in terms of life. That's the lesson, probably the biggest lesson it's taught me is if I'm facing a problem, even if I don't have a choice, I will have to make it work.
Yeah. I think that kind of shows, when we go into your business, how you've propelled that to be such a successful business.
Yeah.
I think your childhood experiences, really shape how you progress in your adult life.
Yeah.
So again, hats off to you for really getting through that and then progressing to what you have done today, mate. Honestly,
nice one.
Really. So, obviously, school. You went through school, and then after school, what did you do?
So I went through all primary school, done secondary school, done my GCSEs, and then got into A levels, and then almost at the age of like 16, like back end of my GCSEs, I knew that the education system wasn't really for me. I was more of a doer than a learner.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather just go out and do things, and it's an argument, it's an endless conversation argument I have with my dad, mostly my dad anyway, of I'd rather go and get things done and earn it the hard way than sit in a classroom and get a piece of paper and then go and achieve something. So did my first year of A levels, didn't really do that great. I weren't really the best behaved kid in school either. I weren't like a horrible kid. I weren't like dead naughty, but I weren't the nicest kid in school. Like I
just found school boring.
It was just more towards like the teachers rather than the kids.
Yeah.
So wasn't really the place I wanted to be. So did my first year of A levels, and then I went through a bit of a funny story. Basically, I started to play a prank on my mate, and it massively backfired. So we were in A levels, and then in one of our studies, because our studies were an hour long, I spent the whole hour. I logged into his user on his computer and spent the whole hour basically hiding all of his files in about 400 maybe different folders. Or name your work's in here. No, it's not. Or try again, look again. You've come the wrong way and stuff like that. So he ended up deleting his whole thing, which meant that he deleted all his coursework, and then it backlashed onto me. I got into trouble. I ended up getting suspended from sixth form. First person in our whole school's history to get suspended from sixth form. And then really the head of sixth form at the time said, you won't get back in to do your second year. You don't have the results, and you don't have really the track record or the a good reputation to come back in. So he said, see you later. But he said to me at the time, he said, I know you'll go on to do great things anyway. He said, you won't fail at this. This won't break you. And again, I found myself in a situation where I was like, okay, what I thought I wanted to do, I can't do, so I've got no choice. But the situation I'm in now, I've got to make it work. So I tried a year of college, didn't do well again. It was, again, another education system for me that I didn't like. So from there, I, believe it or not, applied for university. So went and got into university in Hull. And that's where the whole connection comes from, like later on in the work life. And I did, again, 2 years at university. But what I did, as soon as I got to university, I was studying computer science. And I knew, I'd seen students before. My sister's older, so she's been through the university life. I knew the university money was not enough for me to enjoy my lifestyle. So what I did, as soon as I got to university, I knew I was studying computer science. I was good with computers. I was like, okay, I'm going to set up a business straight away at the age of 18 where I support businesses with their IT. So if their computers break or they need a problem solving or they've got a new computer they need to like set it all up, I'll go and sort it out. I'll charge them like 400 or 500 quid a month. And then any money I earn from that is my pocket money to go out on a night out and enjoy my life. So I signed up 5 clients. They were paying me $2,500 a month. And that was just pocket money for me at the time. Yeah. So I went and bought a car. I was living like no other student would be, really. Yeah. And then partying all the time, but only done 2 years at university. I hated it. Again, weren't for me. I was only there for the social aspect. And then dropped out after 2 years, closed the business down as well. I was like, I'm not at uni anymore. I don't need that business. Yeah. Even though, thinking back about it now, it should have probably been, it would have probably been something bigger now. Yeah. And then went and got a sales and marketing job at 2 sister companies over in Hull. And then kicked on from there. Did 2 years after that in there. And then got really homesick. Really, really missed Liverpool. I was like, I need to go back home. Because I was coming back every weekend just to see my mates, go out and stuff like that. And I started really missing my mates. Really started missing home, Liverpool. And like, not to like disrespect the people of Hull, but the city itself has nothing to offer, really, for like a young person. So I was like, I had to get out of there. So I came back to Liverpool and then straight away just set up NMA Media.
Unbelievable. So I think you're not the only person who struggled with the education system, and I've touched on this with one of the past guests, Dan Gregory. You know, he said he was another fella who was driving more practical than education. Yeah. And obviously the education system, he felt like it failed him as well. You know, just to step away from the main topic of this podcast, if I have the chance to ask someone this, I always do, what would you suggest the education system needs? For me, it's a portfolio work, not an exam at the end.
Yeah, I think these are all personal, not beliefs, but personal, beliefs for me. Yeah. It's a case of like, you can't judge someone's, like, what they've learned over a period of a year based on one day's performance on an exam. Yeah. For example, if you have an off day, okay, you can resit an exam, but again, that's putting a lot of pressure on a day. Looking back at it now, really, you don't really get taught many life lessons. Nothing that's really practical. Okay, it sets you, like this, like education sets you up for further education, then sets you up for maybe like a successful career that you can progress in. That's great. And if you can go through an education system and stick it out, I couldn't. But if you can, do it. No one's better than anyone else. But yeah, I think back, like, going through school, apart from like a few key like traits that any person needs to have, like punctuality, like presenting yourself well, mannerisms, and stuff like that, doesn't really teach you like life lessons. A lot of kids come out of schools and you just know, like, they don't really know what's going on. Yeah. Like, no one comes out of school knowing what a mortgage is. Yeah. No one knows what a loan is. No one knows how the banking systems work. No one knows how the finances in the world work. Yeah. And it's like, these are things that are literally that are powered in the world, and no one knows a thing about it. Yeah. I think if schools were to like teach actual, like, I've never once used trigonometry since
Or
coming out of
algebra.
school. Or algebra. And any given moment, I'll whip a calculator out if I need to work something out. So it's like I've not really used any skills that I've learned in school.
Yeah.
Like Shakespeare for me is like a thing in the past.
Yeah, it's of Mice and Men. You know, the amount of times you read that in GCSE. It's
Great film.
Great film, yeah. And teaches you a few good life lessons.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, like, I'm not, like, I don't want people to listen to this and go, he's just pure slating schools, blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's people's opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. And my opinion is, and my experiences from school is that it sets you up for failure. It doesn't set you up for the real world, because the real world is a mean,
completely different.
Yeah, it's a mean, and you know, you need to work your ass off, especially in this modern world. You need to work hard if you want stuff.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it doesn't set you up well enough to have the experiences which you need. So yeah, that's a slight side subject.
Yeah. No, I don't tell anyone to not go through the education system though.
Suits some people.
For me, if I was to ever have a kid though, for me it'd be a school, and then straight from school to either an apprenticeship or something like that.
Get into working life.
Yeah.
You see a lot more people doing that now. I think, we're a similar age. I think we were the first kind of generation which really jumped at apprenticeships.
Yeah.
You know, I know you did, Matt. You jumped at apprenticeship with Matt as well behind the camera. So I think, you know, we've led a kind of a new generation to think actually have second thoughts about universities.
Yeah, 100%.
And then say, you know what, I might earn money and get a qualification at the same time. So you finished, like you said, you decided your education, you've had a side of education, then you started the media company.
Yeah.
What gave you the idea to start it? What was like, did you see a gap in the market, or was it a passion you were following?
So when I came back to Liverpool, I knew that I always wanted to. I'm very business driven.
Yeah.
I set up a business at university. When I came back to Liverpool, I knew I wanted to set up another business. The camera is something that's always been with me. Even through school, we were doing like RE projects, and I was getting a camera out, and instead of like doing like a simple thing, we were just getting a camera out, making a video. So video was always a big part of my life in terms of hobby. I remember being like maybe like 9 years old, 10 years old, going to a wedding, getting my dad's camcorder out and like filming the wedding.
Boss.
Very crap video, but I've always had, like, it's always been my hobby, the camera. So I knew it'd be that straight away. So again, this is where the school doesn't teach you. Went and raised some funds for a business, a startup loan. Went and bought a load of gear that I knew what I wanted to do and how to use it, and then set up NMA Media. That was it really. I knew content was key. I knew businesses at the time, I knew that content will become the number one thing for many, many businesses. And then I knew videos, the importance of videos. And it was kind of a point I was drilling into like where I worked as well. I was like, we need to do videos, whether it's like comedic, entertainment, or whatever it is, we need to do videos. And so I just brought that with me to Liverpool. I was like, okay, I'm going to go and do this for myself in Liverpool. Straight away, I brought them to the two companies that I work with, brought them over with me as a client. So I was already earning money from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I set it up knowing that it was always going to be content focused. And then where I did spot a gap was I was giving a lot of businesses a lot of content, and they were going, what do we do with this? And I was like, post it on your social media. And they were like, I don't have time to do that. Or I don't know how to do that. I was like, well, I do. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
So one client then became 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Now we are where we are.
Yeah. So like you said, just by following the passion of it, you started a business. You know, I've touched on this with Scott Mealy, who's your second guest. You know how much social media plays a massive part in
100%
in a business, in a modern business. You know, give us an example of a business which you've took on through the media company, and you've got great success with.
Pick any client. No. One that always sticks with me. We don't work together anymore. We work with a landscaping company, and they came on board with the initial plan of working together for a few months, then having a winter break because they thought they'd have a quiet few months in winter. No one really does gardens in winter, and then pick it back up towards springtime, summertime, when everyone's ramming their gardens. Everyone wants a garden for summer. And I said, if you do things right and if you do things how we do it, your business won't go quiet. And then over the years of working with them, saw their team grow, saw their socials grow. They were getting featured in magazines, featured on like suppliers, like national leaders suppliers websites.
Yeah.
Their work was getting put on. So for example, if you wanted to go and buy like the tiles for your garden, and you wanted a particular tile, you go on the supplier's website, and it'd be presenting their work as the example for what the tiles would look like. And these were all photos and videos that I'd done for them. Yeah. So they were a huge like case study, and they were great. So yeah, that was fantastic. And it as much as I loved how what I was doing was working, I also love to see like their business succeed. Like I saw their team grow, and saw their jobs grow, and they went from like a certain like level of jobs to like bigger, better jobs, and that's where he wanted to be, where his company wanted to be.
So how did NMA Media grow then from all these successes? You know, what from where you started to, you know, where you started getting success? How did that grow with the businesses?
Well, when you do well for someone else, it does well for you. Especially if you're helping like another business grow. People will start looking in and going, oh, who does your social media? Who does your content? And it kind of works as a word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it just kind of became, at one point I was too busy, if I'm being totally honest with you, because a lot of people wanted a lot of stuff. I'm kind of happy Matty jumped on the scene, because a lot of people go his way now.
Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, people were seeing the work I was doing, and they were loving it, and they were saying, could we have this as well for our business? And it got to the point where I was getting recognised for the work I was doing, even out in public. They were like, you're the guy that does NMA Media. I was like, that's me. I remember I was in the lift once in a building, going up. Some guy got next to me and he went, are you NMA Media? I was like, yeah. He was like, seen your work, I love it. I was like, that's unbelievable, that was surreal for me. That'll stick with me forever.
Yeah.
And then obviously it saw me bring a team in for a short period of time. Saw the business really grow. Brought the team in, and then the team's gone now. So going through a bit of a switch up with NMA Media. So there are things in the pipeline coming up that I can't really speak about, but really working with companies, their success brought me success. And that's essentially the bottom line. Boss,
it's such a good story to hear, I think, because you know you've created such a good business from a passion. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't follow the passions. You know, I think people don't realise that you can use your passion to create a business.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like you said, the first memory you have is having a camcorder. Now, a lot of people probably listen to this don't know what a camcorder is. Yeah. I know what a camcorder is.
Yeah.
You know, it's
flip out screen.
Yeah, flip out screen with a little telescopic thing you look through.
The viewfinder.
The viewfinder. There you go. I love the technical terms. But yeah, it's you know, just by having that core memory, you've then created a business which, like you said, became too busy at one point.
Yeah.
So with social media, you obviously got to try and be, you know, you're going to be producing how can I say an audience. You know, how do you target that So say for example you had the guy at the landscaping.
Yeah.
How do you target their audience as a social media company?
Yeah. So with social media, how it works is really, how I see it is, people will see what they're looking for. People will find what they're looking for. You just got to make sure you present it in a nice way. The process right now is we take a month before they come on board, any client now, to kind of study them, study their target audience, their client base, their research, study their social media, what's working. Is called, we basically do an audit, a social media audit, and we basically study their social media for a month, look at it, keep an eye on it, see what people react to, see what people want to see, and then based on that we generate a report. We do a hashtag research, we generate their research hashtags, and then over time we spend the next like 3 to 6 months implementing a strategy and actually carrying it out. So we say, okay, this is where they are now, this is where they want to be. It'll take 3 to 6 months to get there, and essentially we just do the right things constantly for them on a consistent basis. If you go back to day one of NMA Media, the one thing I've always said is consistency is key. Obviously, high quality content's important, but consistently doing the right things is very, very important in terms of social media. That's essentially, and you hear this word get thrown about all the time, the algorithm.
Yeah.
If you're consistent with it, you'll fall into the algorithm. And then once you're in an algorithm, at that point, it's when someone searches for gardens in Liverpool, you show up because your content's good. You've consistently preached the same message, and then people look at it and go, okay, that's who I want to do my garden. And that's what happened essentially. That is it. That's what happened. People were saying, okay, we go on their Instagram, we go on Instagram, search for someone to do our garden. These guys show up, we look at their page and go, wow, their gardens are amazing, and go, okay, we want them to do it.
So obviously I'm a fairly new podcast, and I've started to set up you know, a YouTube and an Instagram and TikTok. So the algorithm is, so when as soon as I started them channels, something come up saying how to break the algorithm.
Yeah.
So the algorithm is, there's such a thing as an algorithm.
100%.
And what can you explain, like, just give a brief description on what that algorithm is? Is it different for everyone?
Yeah, different for each platform, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now for Instagram, it is, again, it all falls under the consistency branch. But right now, what you tend to see is the reels. The reels do amazing.
Yeah. And the shorts on YouTube.
Yeah, the shorts do well on YouTube. With YouTube, it's a bit different because people want to see real stuff, not like reels, like Instagram reels, like actual real life stuff. Like, that's why vloggers blow up. That's why talking heads to the camera blow up. You could produce an unbelievably produced video, a masterpiece, just won't do well. Might not do great.
Yeah.
But like, you go and do a day in a life, vlog yourself, what you do from the morning to the night, and that'll probably do better. On YouTube, that is.
Yeah.
Whereas reels, it's people want to see the people behind the page. People want to see what goes on behind the scenes. They want to see reels as well. Video, and right now, and it will be for a long time, videos everywhere is just what's killing it. That's why the likes of myself and Matty are probably as busy as we have been. It's because people want that content and people are realising it's the videos.
So how do you see social media playing a massive part in the future? How do you see where it fits in businesses?
It'll always have a place in businesses. It's had a place in businesses for a very long time. I think a majority of the population now look at people's Instagrams rather than their websites. It's very rare, unless I directly need something from the website. It's rare I'll go on their website. If I'm going out for food and I want to look at a restaurant, I might look at their menu, but I'll look at their Instagram first. Everything's become visual. Websites aren't really visual anymore. So I think more businesses are going to realise that social media is it for them. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Doesn't matter what sector you're in. Doesn't matter what you do. You could be, I don't know. I know people that sell socks on Instagram. I know people that sell cleaning services on Instagram. But it sells and they do well. So I think that the shift we'll see is more businesses will realise how important social media is. And more businesses will come on board to the social media platforms. I think the people that are holding off right now are the more older generation.
Yeah.
The ones that don't really get it.
Yeah.
So I speak to the old, like some older people that run businesses that don't really see the benefit or wouldn't see the benefit of social media. I'm like, you're just missing out. You're missing out on millions and millions and millions of hours.
Yeah, like you said, it's definitely a generational change.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think, obviously the phones play a massive part in that. Technology itself plays probably the biggest part.
Yeah.
So there's obviously more. There's emerging technologies in media, like AI, for example.
Yeah. I knew we were gonna go there.
Yeah, it's like it's whenever you look at online AI. Can you explain to people what AI is? So it obviously means artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
How does something like that come about? For someone on the outside, I go, how does someone create AI?
Yeah.
It's mad.
We are moving towards that, that scenario where not quite iRobot, but we won't be a million miles away from it.
No.
You will get, and we will see a massive replacement of jobs with AI in the very, very near future. And that's scary.
Yeah, it's frightening.
It's very scary. You're talking about the likes of you and I and anyone. No one's safe.
No.
But AI is mad. It's one of those, like, I don't think anyone can honestly say, I know what it is. I don't think anyone can honestly turn around and say, I've got my head around it fully. I definitely can't.
No.
All I know is it is essentially the computer doing your thinking for you, doing the work for you. I mean, the big one, the most popular one that everyone knows is that ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And right now, it is probably one of the most helpful, powerful tools that anyone can use. I use it on a daily basis, whether it's generating content ideas, whether it's generating social media plans. It's fantastic right now. It's great. But the moment it can take over my job, it will do. And it will do it.
Yeah.
So that's the scary part. But right now, it's an unbelievable tool to use. Like, AI is probably at its peak right now, where it can help you massively. Like I said, I use it every day, from letters to proposals to legal letters, legal. It's almost my legal representative right now. When it gets to, because I'm doing a few things outside of work life, and I just use ChatGPT to write my letters for me. I give it a criteria, I'll give it a command, and I say, like, write me a letter to X explaining why I don't agree with that decision, and unless they sort it out, it's going to become a legal dispute, blah, blah, blah. And he'll write it out. I'm like, nice. I sound like a lawyer. Well, no, and then...
That's what's probably going to replace stuff like that,
Yeah. My sister actually is a solicitor, so she's tested it out. She says it goes to a certain point right now.
Yeah.
She's like, you can tell it's a computer-generated stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, they'll give you, like, a generic base of, like, an argument, for example, but it won't give you, because it obviously doesn't have the details of a case, for example. But that's the legal side. But for me, it's unbelievable. Video ideas, content ideas, social media plans, email marketing campaigns, anything you want right now, ChatGPT can give it to you. We were in a group chat with one of our clients today, just like, give us ideas of names for, like, days of the week to have, like, as themed nights. like, don't get me wrong, they were horrendously bad. We were just sat in the group chat, just like pissing ourselves laughing. But we'll give it to you.
Oh yeah,
It's unbelievable.
yeah. You know, I think one of the scary things, just to touch on it a bit, the scary things was obviously in America, you know, they've had massive problems with Trump, you
Yeah.
know, and then next minute it generated a video of Trump having
Yeah.
a fight with the police,
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
and then you go, artificial intelligence created that, and it was all over the news.
Yeah.
And you know, he's got a mad following as it is, that fella. That could cause another fucking riot. That
World War III.
yeah, but it could cause murder.
Well, I think I saw something that said like it needs 20 seconds of your voice. So someone can ring you and like speak to you for 20 seconds. This is how scammers will eventually do it. Speak to you. If they can hold you on the phone to speaking for like a minute, they've got a 20-second overall clip of your voice. They can then go and regenerate your voice and get it to say whatever they want, which then technically can get through your bank security and stuff like that. Wow. That's where AI gets scary.
That's mad, that. And
then there was a video of Messi. I don't know if you're into your footy, but there was a video of Messi speaking English and everyone was like going mad over it. It was AI. Not everyone noticed it was AI, but it was AI.
It's like you speak to people who are in uni, you know, the scandal come out that people using AI to...
Oh yeah, they were doing their dissertations.
Yeah,
and
dissertations, and then the uni like, hang on a minute, these are all the same. You know, what's going on? And then he went, since someone's also chat GBT creating these dissertations.
And then they brought something out to counter it, didn't they?
Yeah, it's bad. Then you think, how effective is that thing they brought out to counter it? You know,
yeah,
could have countered it all.
I hope so.
So do I. I hope it gets regulated eventually, because, like you said,
it will do. One thing I do love is Twitter, well, X now, but I still call it Twitter.
Yeah, it's Twitter to us OGs, isn't it?
Twitter. One thing I love is the community notes on Twitter. You know, when something's clearly a lie, it was like someone would Photoshop a picture of like Everton top of the Premier League.
Matty's fuming behind the camera now.
That's the only reason I said it. Like someone would Photoshop a photo of Everton at the top of the Premier League, and like to an outsider who doesn't know better, they'd be like, "What, Everton top of the Premier League?" But in reality, you know that's a lie. But someone would have actually like factually corrected that, and then it'll come up below the tweet, below the photo, saying, "This is a photoshopped image. Everton are actually bottom 3 in the Premier League."
Sorry, Matty. Just rubbing it in you. So you're red then, are you?
Yeah.
Good lad. So, how do you stay sustainable? Is the media business sector becoming more saturated now, and more people are doing it? Would you say?
Yeah, it's not easy.
No,
don't get me wrong.
Would you say at one point it is going to become a saturated market, or is it one now?
If it's not already, then yeah.
So
definitely.
how does a business stay successful in that market then?
You just got to stay ahead of the game, really. The one thing I will say is, because of the nature of what I do, every business at some point will need it.
Yeah.
Whether it's the video, the photo, or the social media management. Until AI can do your photos for you. And they have started doing that. You can AI generate photos now. I've done it before. I've done it on Photoshop. You get Photoshop beta, you open it up, you select an area, you type in what you want in that area, and it'll put it in for you with the right lighting. So like the sun's there, it'll put a shadow there. It's mad. It's crazy. It will do it.
Yeah.
But every business at some point will need what we do. But at the same time, any person can go and pick up a camera and take photos. Whether they take great photos like Matty and I, maybe not, but they will do it. And to the next person, it won't matter the quality. They'll be like, "Oh, this is amazing." When we look at it and go, "That's shit."
Yeah.
But it is hard though. It's like I've seen it, especially over like the past maybe 2 years. A lot of people try and do what you do, and you see a lot drop off. Not everyone sticks it out. I think if you don't give up, that's definitely the biggest lesson I've learned, is it will work. Your business will work. People will come. Businesses will come. I mean, how I really got my first client, apart from the 2 that I brought over, was mad. I just went and got like 300 or 500 business cards printed, and I put my backpack with my camera in, and I planned the route from my house through town, do a loop, and then come back. And I said, I'm going to enter every single business that I see and drop a business card off. 499 said no, one said yeah. And I built on top of that. And then
It's unbelievable.
And then I was like, that was like over like 3 days. And I basically like went and spent like another 4 days with that business. Just sat in, it was a restaurant, sat in their restaurant for 4 days, 6 hours a day. And said, any food that comes through the pass, I'll take a photo of it and give it to you. And to this day, they're still using that content, and that's like 5 years ago now. That's how many photos I gave them. But then, and then I was like, I went away from that, and I was like, I've just made money from that. I'm going to go and do that again. So I went and got another 500 business cards printed, went out and done it again. But this time I had a portfolio of work I could show people.
Yeah.
So when they go, oh, can I see your work? I'll be like, yeah, this is what I've done for this restaurant. So, yeah, it will get saturated, but yeah, at the same time, the work's always going to be there.
Yeah.
You don't need to get worried. Just, I think the biggest thing I'll have to say about it is like, never give up. Don't quit. If you can't quit, you can't get beat.
Yeah.
If you don't quit, you'll never get beat.
Yeah.
You might get slowed down. You might slow down. You'll definitely go through tough times. Like, I'm 26. I look like I'm going on 40. Like, if I take this cap off, I'm just grey underneath. But no, bad hair day. No, but if you don't go through the tough times, you also have no character. You like it won't. You'll build a lot of character doing it.
Yeah, you got to take the bad with the good, haven't you?
Oh, 100%.
So speaking of what, have you had a bad experience?
In terms of
the business, like have you ever what's like a bad
yeah,
experience?
the
you've
worst
had?
experience I've had. Well, it's not directly in terms of the business. It was me personally. Near the end of year one. So the business hadn't even been running for a year. I was ready to throw the towel in. I was just like, I'm done with this.
Why?
It got tough. It got really hard. We were on the brink of COVID, I think.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is tough. I'm not earning the greatest money. My dad's in my ear saying, go and get a... This is the biggest win of my life, by the way. I'll come back to this. Dad's saying, go and get a pay slip. Go and work somewhere, get a pay slip, go and get a mortgage. Get a pay slip, go and get a mortgage. I was like, nah, I'm going to do this. But I nearly threw the towel in. Went and applied for a job in Manchester, sales job. Quite a senior role as well. Got through the first, second and third stage. I was about to accept the job and go. And I sat down with someone who's kind of like mentored me all the way through everything in life, business-wise. And he just literally, in the simplest of terms, said, the job's in Manchester, you live in Liverpool, what hours are you required to work? I was like 8 till 6, 8 a.m. till 6. So he was like, you've got to get up at 6 a.m. to be at that job at 8 a.m. So he was like, if we take into consideration that you're working from 7 a.m. because you've got to travel there, take 7 a.m, you don't get back till like 7 p.m, but say you finish work at 6, that's 11 hours a day. He said, if you applied the same hours to NMA Media, would it work? I was like, of course. He went, why don't you do it? I was like...
Light bulb moment?
It was just like not even a light bulb moment, it was just a wake-up call.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, I'm very talkative. I talk a lot. That's probably the only time I've been speechless in my life. He just said, why don't you? I didn't have anything to say. I just sat and said, okay. So that was probably the toughest time for me. Because, like, business-wise, I was going through it. Weren't doing great. And then stuck to it. Applied the same hours, if not more, every single day. I went through, like, a 9-month period where I was working, like, minimum 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I just didn't quit. It got hard, but I didn't quit. And then it worked. And this is the biggest win now. Because I've just bought a house with money I've earned from my own business. So I'm rubbing it in my dad's face every single day.
How's he taking that?
He's not happy. But I'm saying, like, I said to him, like, look, it worked. I didn't need to go and get a job, to get a payslip, to go and get a mortgage and get a house. I've just bought my first house. And it's great. Bought my own car. I've always bought my own car, but bought my own car through the business, like the money that I was earning through the business. That was great. that was another rub it in your face moment with my dad. But then the biggest win is the house. And if you told me like back then when I was about to quit, if you stick it out in like a few years' time, you'll be buying your own house because you're earning enough money and you can do it, I would have probably been like, don't know, you know. But now you throw anything at me, I'll be like, come on, let's go.
Boss, it's a winning mentality. Cause
Is it? It is.
Because you've, like you said, your dad's there saying, you know, your dad wants you to go through life as you're taught to go through, you know,
Yeah.
get a payslip, get a mortgage, get a house.
That's the one.
Whereas you went, nah, I'm doing it my own way.
Yeah, I'm doing it my way and
Then,
I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah.
That's essentially going
That goes
back
back to when you couldn't even speak English, though.
That's exactly it.
It goes right back to that. You know, you obviously couldn't speak the language, but then you saying to yourself, I need to in order to succeed. So then that when you've had that mentality from such a young age, and then it's been ingrained to you, it's scarred in you.
Yeah, 100%.
And then now it's kind of prevailed into you having such a successful business.
Yeah, and you can do things to encourage that. In terms of like, I've read books that again realign you a little bit, because like you do go off track, especially when you run the business, when you're doing your own thing, you can get distracted very easily and very quickly. But like if you read like certain books, I've read like the same book like 5 times, and it just realigns you a little bit. But it's that mentality of, okay, I'm gonna make it work, and it will work. Like if I stand on top of a hill and say I'm taking pictures, I'm doing videos, eventually someone's gonna walk past and go, okay, I'm gonna want your photos and videos. Yeah. That's it essentially. Yeah. As long as you keep doing it and stay consistent with it, you'll smash it. Just don't quit, and you'll never be beat.
I was just gonna say, if you got any tips for anyone who wants to start media, and you just absolutely just smashed the question there.
No, that goes to anyone.
Yeah.
In terms of media itself, specifically, go and get a camera. That's a lie. Don't go and get a camera. Use your phone. Go out and get a feel for it. Yeah. To this day, I get loads of like, it's usually estate agents as well. They phone up. They're like, "Can you come and do our content?" I'm like, "No, do it with your phone." Like honestly, iPhones. I know you don't use an iPhone, but phones are great. The cameras are great. Go out with your camera. If you genuinely think like, I want to get into this industry, I want to get into this world of photography, videography. Start with what you've got. Like, not everyone's gonna have the same knowledge as I did when I started. I knew what camera I wanted. I knew what I was doing at the start. Not everyone's gonna know that. Start off with what you've got. Stay within your means, and go out and do it. Like, whether you've got to put mad hours in. Like I know he was doing that. He was working essentially 2 jobs at a time. And he was doing his work, and then he was going out and doing photos with people. Go out and do it. Once you've got a feel for it and you know it's for you. Once you know, by the way. Yeah. Once you know it's for you, you know. Then go, okay. Then set yourself targets. Set a plan. Say where you want to be in 2 years' time, 5 years' time. And if you don't have a plan, by the way, don't get out of bed. So where are you going? Yeah. I've said that. I have conversations with like business owners. This is scary. This used to scare me. And I'd be like, where do you and the business want to be in like 5-10 years time? They'd be like, I don't know. And I'd be like, so you don't have a plan? You'd be like, no. I'd be like, why'd you get out of bed? It's like, what do you mean? I was like, if you've got nowhere to be, stay in bed. Yeah. Like, and you'd see them like get taken back and get offended because I'm only a young lad. They'd be like, I'm like twice your age or whatever. I'm like, doesn't matter. If you've got nowhere to be, don't be. The funniest one is I had a business owner. He just opened the business, and like 3 months into the business, and it was like a little cafe, and he was going, Nima, I'm so annoyed. I was like, why? He was like, why am I working in my own business? I was like, what? He was like, why am I working in my own business? I was like, what do you mean? You've opened for 3 months. He was like, I should be on a beach with my feet up, and this business should be paying me for it. I was like, that's called lottery, bro. Yeah. I was like, if I open the business and within 3 months I was like in Dubai with my feet up and it was like funding my lifestyle, then I've won the lottery. I've won the lottery.
Yeah, I think that's a message. You know, I think people want everything now.
Oh,
I think
nothing happens down
they see it, and you know, I think shows like I've mentioned it before, Love Island really portray this wrong. You know, people go on there just to get famous, you know, and they get it like that just by applying. And then the younger generation seeing that going, yeah, fucking hell, that's such an easy way to get famous. Because everyone wants to be famous, especially in this world. You know, you've got to. I know for a fact I've got to keep at this. I've got to keep consistent. You know, one of the things Mick and Matty said when it first come in, they said you've got to be consistent.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, consistency's got to be the top word in your vocabulary. You've got to keep at it because it will come. You know, there's many podcasts which started from nothing, and then obviously they've started from nothing, and then they've become successful.
Yeah, 100%.
I think, you know, like you said, people they're so impatient. They want everything now, and it's quite frightening to hear that some like people have actually opened a business and go, I should be having my feet up doing nothing here. Nah, you should be the hardest worker at that point.
Mate, first in, last out.
Yeah.
In your own business.
Yeah.
If you got people.
Yeah.
100%.
It's unbelievable. Honestly, it's been such an eye opener. You know, the last couple of questions. For me, I want to know what a cookie is, and I want you to explain to people what a cookie is. You know, I think a lot of people just see it and click allow on the web.
Oh, cookie on a website.
Yeah, cookie on a website.
No, I know what you meant. So the term cookie originally comes from a cookie trail that you leave to like lure someone in. So you leave a cookie trail, someone follows it.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what a cookie on a website is. It's a trail of your behaviour and activity on the web that they can then track and then use that information to then target you in various ways. And that's essentially what a cookie is. It's a trail of where you've been and where you're going.
And can you tell the people viewing that Big Brother is real? They do listen to you. 100%.
If you've got a device, I know I've got a microphone in front of me.
Yeah.
If you've got a device that's got a microphone, 100% they listen to you all the time. And it's not like a conspiracy. Like you go into the Meta or Facebook Notes or like Instagram Notes or any app that can listen to you and can have adverts on it. So any app, they are listening to you. That's why people get freaked out. They go, oh, speaking about like a pint, and it popped up on my phone. I'm like, yeah, because they're listening, and then they'll target you based on what the data they've got. So if anything, data is probably the most powerful. It's more powerful than money.
Yeah.
Data is
drives the world.
Data is a lot more powerful than money. You can have all the money, but no data. But the people that have all the money also have a lot of data.
Yeah, yeah. So a tradition we do to end the podcast is a quote that you live by or has some personal meaning to you. I should have prepped you on this really, but
I've said it multiple times. If you don't quit, you can't be beat. And I probably live and think about that every day. Sometimes I write it down and I look at it and go, okay.
Boss.
Writing stuff down is very helpful, by the way.
I still use pen and paper.
Yeah, I love pen and paper. I write stuff down in my phone even. But like I remember I had a whiteboard in the office, and one of the key things I done on a regular basis was like a target I wanted to hit, whether it was financially, whether it was like number of clients or whatever, and I'd go and write that target down on the board. So every day I go into the office, I knew what I was walking towards, what I was trying to get to. So yeah, but if you don't quit, you'll never be beat. You'll get slowed down, you'll get knocked down, yeah, 100%. But if you don't quit, you can't beat you. They'll get sick of you as well.
Definitely. Right, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, being boss. I think your stories. Yeah, I think your story's superb.